Rhythm is life, rhythm is soul. I say let's get it right this time. Let love unfold.
Would it be fair to say that seeing is an experience?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, good. And then what happens? Mind steps in and says, I see, correct?
It can, yeah.
Well, it does. I see, I think, I'm conscious, I'm aware, I'm this, I'm mind, Jesus, it can. So the actual seeing itself, does it comment on anything?
No.
Does it see separation?
No.
Are you seeing right now?
Who are you talking to?
Is there seeing right now?
Yeah.
Are you conscious right now?
Mm.
Aware? Being?
Yes.
Good. So the consciousness, the awareness, and the beingness, what's it saying about anything?
Nothing.
Good. And then the mind steps in. You know, the mind that can't experience consciousness, awareness, or beingness, the mind steps in and makes up a big story about some kind of experience. But the direct experience doesn't comment.
It just experiences without barriers. Would that be accurate?
It's just experience. All it's experiencing is experiencing. Full stop. That's what's actually happening. What the mind says is happening is not true. Plain and simple.
Would a concession to that be that experience is experiencing without barriers? Because normally the mind is putting up walls and then not having walls.
It's experiencing is experiencing non-dualistically. If you want to term that as to not putting up barriers, it's kind of one way you could say it. But
it's still a concession.
The reality is it's a non-dual experience. You know, that non-dual state that we're all chasing after, that we all want to find, get to, it's already happening. Just the mind steps in and says, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's so not happening. Where are the fireworks? Where's all the joy that I've been promised? The mind can't experience anything. Why? Why can't the mind experience anything? Why?
Is that rhetorical? Because
I'm actually asking you the question.
Oh, yeah.
Why can't the mind experience anything?
Well, mind is, in every moment, mind is just the arising of thought, but then we put this story to it and then we create this construct that's bigger than the actual moment by moment experience.
All right. So would it be reasonable or fair to say that for experiencing to be occurring, one would have to be conscious?
Yes.
Good. Is the mind conscious?
I'm saying this just out of sort of logic, but not out of sort of felt, or I'd say no.
All right. So now let's find out whether that's correct, because you've said no. Yeah. Let's find out whether that's correct. Yeah. Okay. So you are conscious throughout the course of the day, all the thoughts that rattle around in your head, right? You're aware of them, yeah?
Yes, yep.
Be fair to say that you are conscious of them.
Yes, there's a difference between me and my thoughts.
Good. If I'd be calling it me, but yes, all right.
Yeah, there's a space between.
Good. So you're
Yes.
so you are conscious of thoughts, yeah? And you
Correct.
know what that's like to be conscious of thoughts, or even conscious of me sitting opposite you right now.
Mm.
Yeah, conscious of the clouds in the sky, room temperature, a breeze blowing across your face. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't conscious, none of that would be experienced. There'd be no experience in.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Good. So you're conscious of the mind? Yours,
Yes.
I'm talking about. Yep, it's
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
personal, whatever it is that goes on in there. They're all
Yeah.
pretty much the same, by the way. But anyway. So you're conscious of that.
So some are more abusive than others, I suppose.
Oh, everyone's got abusive shit going on. It's dualistic. It can't not be.
Mm.
So you're conscious of the mind throughout the course of the day, yes?
Correct. Yes.
Good. All right, now let's flip it. Is the mind conscious of this here that's conscious of it?
No.
What's the significance of that?
Well, the mind is like a slave to consciousness. That's what kind of comes to mind.
Well, what comes to my mind is your whole backstory, your whole life, you know, your memory and what the mind is saying happened and what you experienced and blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
None of it ever happened. I'm
Yeah,
not saying, I need to clarify. I'm not saying experience in hasn't happened. It has. It has.
Mm.
But that's all that's been happening. Yeah. And then the mind steps in and paints this big story about the experiencing.
That I can easily accept.
What do you have trouble accepting?
Well, just with that, what do you do? You know, when like there's this story that goes that what your past defines where you are now. So, for example, I'm in this room because of a story that I put before. So, what do you do in that situation when someone is in a situation, experiencing happened? I get the story is just a story, and that's it's a description of experiencing. I don't really have a question there, but it seems like how do you sort of make sense of where you are or where I am?
Easy.
Without a story.
Easy. We tackle it from right here, right now, and we try and find out what is this me that believes it's here right now, that wants to know how to tackle this or how to do this, or what is that? Who am I? That should be the primary question. Where am I? What am I? Everything else is bullshit. Honestly. Anything else is just going to be a story about other stories and about other stories and other beliefs and other concepts and assumptions and so on. Like, who is it? What is it that's experiencing the mind being abusive? Who's experiencing the mind being abusive?
Awareness.
You mean awareness that doesn't comment, that's not dualistic, that never says anything about anything, doesn't judge, nothing. Just like the eyes, they're just seeing. The eyes don't judge. The seeing, rather, doesn't judge. Awareness doesn't judge. Consciousness doesn't judge.
And yet I find myself in this predicament where I'm putting a story around this experiencing of this intense Sensation.
Sure. And which story are you going to believe? Which one? Tomorrow you'll wake up feeling great in the morning. Tomorrow afternoon you'll feel shit. I'm making that up, by the way. Which story are we going to believe? Are either of them right? And who's believing them? Who's being affected by them? What goes effect of the mind?
Sorry, say that again. What goes effect of the mind?
Yeah.
What goes effect of the mind? I don't get that question.
All right. Who or what is it that gets affected by the mind? You know, before when we said mind can be abusive, who the fuck is it talking to? That's my real question. And then who gets affected by it?
It's more story.
So now what is there to see? What's the block? What aren't you seeing?
I don't know what I can't see. What I can't see. Well,
that was a great answer, by the way.
I think essentially what I'm hearing is the story of this intense, what I've labeled fear, which is just experience of sensation. I've created a story out of it. And that story is then create another story on the back of it. And then it's perpetuating itself. And here I am telling another story about this too. There's a couple of stories back there. It's like the movie, The Never Ending Story.
There's more than a couple, let me tell you. Your whole backstory is a story. Your whole seeming life that you believe you've had is nothing but a big story.
The curious thing about all that is like, I had an accident several years ago and I came out of a coma, and pretty much that's what happened to me. Like most of my life beforehand, it was like, I'm describing it as a story, but you know,
it's all right.
It was as if I was like born again. It kind of felt that way in many ways. So the backstory is easy for me to let go. It's interesting that this story I'm telling you about this fear is one that seems significant. It seems meaningful, and I hold it in high regard. But essentially what I'm hearing is the recognition that that story is no more significant than any other story I've ever told myself.
It's no more significant than the clouds flooding through the sky. It means nothing. Understand, yeah? All your backstory is all thoughts. Mind, if you like, yeah? Just for your whole life, it's just been making up stories about whatever it is that's going on now. Now. And the now is the experiencing. Yeah. And the mind's just been making up stories about everything. Right?
It's a compulsive labeler.
It's a compulsive liar is what it is. And it's so dishonest. But, you know, in fairness to it, it doesn't know that it's being dishonest, and it doesn't know that it's even lying. It doesn't know. In other words, it believes its own bullshit. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And all we've got to do is just shine the light of truth on it. Right? So what's actually happening? What's actually occurring? Yeah, like, man, you have two people will go up in at an amusement park. Two people will go at what we call here a Big Dipper, which is just the rides, you know, that those nightmare rides that I hate. Right? Two people go up and they'll both sit in the front seat. They'll both have exactly the same experience exactly the same. You know, both people get off at the end of the ride and one person's going to go, that was awesome, let's go and do it again. And the other person's saying, I'll never get on that again, that was the most awful thing, blah, 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 blah. Neither of them are correct. Neither of them. Thought would constantly be happening, right? Making up thoughts about the experiencing whilst this is happening. Two people, same experience, completely different stories. And then what happens, we take the story to then be the experience, not the actual direct experience. Because as soon as that ride's over, that experience is now finished. It should be next. Next. No story about it. Nothing. That's not what happens. His mind steps in and goes, oh, that was awful, like the mind experienced it. Mind can't experience anything. Just makes up concepts and then takes the concept to be the experience. That's clear. Like, that's clear. You can see what I'm saying. You can see for yourself in relation to your own thoughts and your own life and what's happened, and you can see for yourself. So this notion of the void and fear, like I feel like I'm losing myself. I feel like I'm losing myself. That's all bullshit story made up by the mind.
And yeah, it's when the sensation feels that real, like just without sort of describing it, when the sensation feels as like when you feel as alive, that's a moment, I suppose, that I felt more alive than ever.
Yeah, but the experience that was actually happening wasn't fear. Mind's just made up this big story and called this fear. It's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. How would the mind know what fear was? It can't experience anything. And then look at the stories that it paints and makes up about the experiencing.
So what is, if the mind labels a sensation that it finds so you're saying that even a similar, what the mind would describe as a similar sensation, even though I'm not sure if it can even be able to accurately say that, you're saying that the sensation of what the mind calls fear is different every time, but it approximates and goes, oh, that must be fear.
Here's what I'm saying. The experiencing is always the exact same experiencing. Mind just steps in and labels moments with different things, different labels. You know, this sensation that you experience in the body that we go, oh, that's fear, man. Fuck, I know that one. Oh, shit, man. I know this one. Yeah. That's the exact same feeling. It's the same energy, the exact same energy that you experience when you're what? When you're anything, when you're shit.
But it doesn't seem to arise all the time. It arises in different moments. Like, even though we might, like right now, say I'm not experiencing any, what we might describe fear or adrenaline or whatever. It's just It's a different energy.
All right, so try this on. Yeah, that experience of fear, the experience, that physical sensation that gets experienced. Yeah, it's the exact same experience that you experience when you experience love. It's the same experience. And then label just steps in, and one moment we'll call this experience fear, and the next moment it'll step in and call this experience love. Same. It's the same. It's the same sensation. But we don't know that until that shuts off. And we are just here in the absolute experiencing. It's just this one experiencing. The only thing that seems to give it color or shade or is the mind. Why? It works dualistically. That's all it could do. Mind can't think with non-duality. It simply can't. It tries. It can't. Its nature is to be dualistic. So then the mind creates here and there, this and that, me and you, love and fear and blah, blah, blah. You know, that mind that can't experience anything.
So when the mind arises, then what do you do when it's compulsively wanting to label?
Go looking for who just asked that question. Who wants to know?
And when it doesn't shake, and you've I wouldn't say you've fully dug or whatever you want to use, whatever words, but I would say that I'm definitely scratching away at it.
Scratch more. Scratch a bit deeper.
Thanks, Terrence.
Like, honestly, all we need to do is to see what's actually really happening. That's all. This is so simple. It is so incredibly simple. When it finally dawns, you go, how the hell did I miss it? How is it even possible that we miss this? I guarantee that will... Everyone says the same thing. How the hell do we miss this? It's staggering that it gets missed. And it's so obvious. That's why we go, how the hell do we miss this? So you've got to just come to see what's actually happening. Truth. This is a fact-finding mission. Am I the thinker? Am I the thinker? And if you say, no, I'm not the thinker, that also means you're not the speaker. Mine's just been making up a big story ever since you're about 2 years of age. And the majority of the story gets put there. Conditioned. Parents, your surroundings, what culture, language. What the hell say have you got in that? We don't even choose our name. You know? And then we walk around like, you know, I'm responsible for my me, and you didn't even put it there. Probably, you know, Matt, come to see, okay, from your own experience, because you're in the best seat in the house. No one can see like you can see. No one. Yeah. Come to see that this personalized me that we've been taking ourselves to be, the one that's on this spiritual path, the one that's seeking and asking questions and trying to find out this and trying to find out that and so on and so forth. Yeah. All of it is the mind. There's not mind and me. Me is the mind. That's asking the questions is the mind. That wants to know is the mind. It could only be that. It's dualistic. It could only be that. It's the only thing that could be asking the questions. Now, am I the mind? Is that me? You know, that mind that you're aware of? Anything you can be aware of, Matt, can't be you. How could it? Come on. Let's use a bit just logic, yeah? Anything you can be aware of can't be you. You're aware of the mind, you're aware of sensations in the body, you're aware of the body. You know, the dead giveaways, we go, my mind, my body, my feelings. Who's taken ownership of the mind, the body, the feelings? Who or what is taking ownership of that, all of that? The mind.
The interesting thing is with the mind, I think I remember hearing the term before, but it's pretty sticky. Like, you know, you drop the body in terms of association as, you know, I'm not the body. You can drop the self. But it hangs on.
Yeah, but who's it sticking to? Like that statement, it's pretty sticky, yeah, implies there's someone that it's sticking to.
Mm.
And there's not.